Okay, welcome to Food Innovators by FoodX. How are you?
Good, I'm doing great. Doing very well.
Thank you. It looks like you're uncomfortable. Why don't you?
I'm okay. I'm just going to shift around.
Yeah,
so I look like I'm facing you as opposed to this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
When you get comfy.
Okay.
So, who are you?
I am Adriane Stewart. I am the founder and CEO of Lotus Scoop ice cream. And we are an artisanal quality ice cream made Plant-to-Pint out of fruits, herbs, seeds, vegetables, sustainable produce, ripe and ready produce that is local, as well as local dairy. And we create what I would consider a superior pint of ice cream. And we deliver that ice cream to stores all over the United States.
It's funny how when I ask people who they are, they give me the complete kind of business outline and whatever, as opposed to, hi, I'm Adriane, how are you?
Right. Well, I could say that too, but that's not what I rarely say it in front of a computer. So yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you don't. It's just us. It's just us cats. So, okay, Plant-to-Pint ice cream.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Plant-to-Pint is a phrase I coined. I actually first heard it used briefly by one brand in the beer company, in the beer business, craft beer, and it was the idea of them actually using sort of organic hops. But in terms of ice cream, I use it to describe really the way that I create ice cream, and the way that I vision as to sort of say ice cream can be a vehicle for great fruits and vegetables. It's a way of reformulating some of our favorite desserts, and as well as bringing in deep cultural influences from maybe communities or areas or people who really enjoy fruits and vegetables as a regular treat, and then funneling it through sort of this all-American way of eating at the end of a meal or in the middle of the day or whatever. So really it's a vehicle for combining fruits and vegetables in a really tasty way.
So let's kind of unpack a lot. There's a lot of ideas in there. A vehicle for fruit and vegetables. How is ice cream a vehicle for fruit and vegetables?
Well, I think traditionally ice cream has been a vehicle for things like cookies, and so and Snickers, and so that's really and that's sort of an American phenomenon, right? We like sweet, which is already sweet ice cream, the base of it, the cream, and then to add something on top of it like M&Ms or something really incredibly carb dense like pretzels. That's become sort of an American treat, and in many ways there's so much sugar and there's so much sort of piecing going on that it's hard to actually enjoy really what ice cream is.
Isn't that why we love it?
It could be. I mean, it could be, but I think Butterfinger by itself is fine. You know, crumbling it into ice cream I think can get confusing, and I think there are plenty of people who become accustomed to thinking of ice cream that way. I think one of the reasons we get such extraordinary feedback and we have a cult following, people who love Lotus Scoop ice cream, because what we've done is taken some of the most sort of purest forms of dessert or treats, which are fruits, vegetables like sweet potatoes, very sort of deep greens like kale, and we've managed to sort of balance them and combine them into really what is already a fluffy, airy, wonderful cream. And I think it's creating a new type of dessert that allows people to connect with what they like about nature, what they like about natural foods, but kind of add something very sweet and luscious. So we kind of stay away from, and not because we think it's a bad idea, but sort of the traditional American viewpoint on ice cream. I think it's something that has its place, but we're definitely trying to innovate in terms of flavor and in terms of the creation of really what's probably the most, they say in China ice cream is the most popular dessert. They have a very different palette of ice cream, as well as in Japan. So the ice cream has a lot of incarnations. What we're trying to do is at least drive a change in the American palate of this very popular dessert.
Does that mean that your ice cream isn't sweet?
Ice cream is some ice creams people describe as savory, meaning that we take what we consider a base of an ice cream base that's fairly traditional but rich, and we are adding something to it like kale or pear that are not incredibly sweet. Pear is a little sweet. And we're giving it a flavor that when mixing with ice cream, your expectation is a super sweet dessert, and really what you're getting is something you could probably eat between courses or alongside a meal or instead of a meal. So it is sweet though. And ice cream without sugar is a whole different can of worms, but we really stick with sort of the basic flavoring and taste of ice cream in the base, and then add things to it that may or may not be super sweet.
So I'm a little confused. I've tried your ice cream, and as far as I'm concerned, it's probably the best ice cream I've ever had.
Awesome.
No, I'm being really serious. It's
Everyone says that, and
probably the best ice cream I've ever had. And yet you make it sound, when you talk about not sweet, kale, sweet potato, well, I guess sweet potato should be called sweet potato because it's sweet, but not sweet, not as much sugar, kale, etc. It kind of sounds, I wouldn't say gross, but it sounds sort of like something you sort of put up with rather than you have as an indulgence. Ice cream is an indulgence thing, right? It's sort of you're sad, you have ice cream. You want a little bit of sweet after a savory main course, you have ice cream. Putting kale into it, and the way you describe it, it makes it sound like it's sort of not quite as good as the real thing. And yet, as I said, it's the best ice cream I've ever had. So how do you reconcile that?
Right. So basically, we're doing two things in the market. One, we're preaching to the choir, because there are plenty of people who love sweet potato pie. There are plenty of people who love kale smoothies. There are plenty of people who love peach pie. So or strawberry rhubarb pie. There are cultural influences where people are used to eating fruits and vegetables regularly. That is groups of people who've migrated to the United States, who have been here for thousands of years, who culturally just have a lot more fruits and vegetables where they came from. So you're going to find in other parts of the world, fruits and vegetables are more just a staple. And that could be in a main dish, or it could be certainly in a dessert. And then there are regional parts of the United States where pies and fruit pies are really, really popular, and people are less apt to eat like a Butterfinger or an Oreo cookie. So we're preaching to the choir. There are groups of people we find are sort of mavens of Lotus Scoop, are people who already love fruits and vegetables, period. No matter how they could do it just in a bowl, they're eating apples, they're eating bananas. And then we do have to sway some groups of people who are much more accustomed to the traditional sort of American diet of putting literally high-powered sugar or artificial cookies or caramel into everything. And so we have no problem once they try convincing those people that our ice cream is superior. And that's because there's a treat in it.
And do they want to try it typically the first time? Our
customer is usually our first sort of what I call the low-hanging fruit of people who love to try anything. We have I would say one of the characteristics of our typical cult customer is an adventurous person. Mm-hmm. Someone who was the first to try sushi, or the first to try pumpkin lattes, or even a kale smoothie. So we have people who just have an adventurous spirit. They love to try something new. We convert them very easily. And I would say, and that's kids. To be honest, we were just discussing how that sounds like our ice cream has an adult ingredient palette, but really we have a lot of kids, because kids will try anything and they love it. And we find some of our biggest fans are kids for the kale ice cream, kale pear banana, and that makes parents happy. But it's also interesting because they don't have a preconceived notion about kale. They don't even know what we're talking about.
I'd love to find out if we can give a kid the kale pear banana ice cream for, let's say, I don't know, a week, mm-hmm. and then try and have them try the I don't even know a big brand for ice cream, but a store-bought $3
caramel core
like double pint of cookies and cream Butterfinger, whatever, and see if the child who spent the last week trying the kale would actually find the kind of Butterfinger one way too sweet and actually quite unpleasant.
Well, I mean, sugar is sugar's the big sell for kids, right? So if there is a lot of sugar in someone's diet, it's an addictive quality. So it's hard to say. I mean, we thought about that. I think of a time when we did a demo at one of the large retailers, and the cutest kid came up to us with his mom, and he was looking around at the different flavors, and for whatever reason he picked the Kingston, which is our flavor that has Caribbean cocoa, raw cacao. So it's not a sugar base. It's a raw chocolate in its original form. And our Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee, which is an espresso blend, which is an intense coffee cold brew, and hemp seeds. And I said, oh, this is the Kingston. Do you want to try it? It's Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee, pan-roasted hemp, and Caribbean cacao. And he said, yes, I'd love to try that. And I said, you a coffee fan? And he was like, yes, I am. Who knows? And his mother laughed, and I thought, oh God, he's going to be plumbing off the walls. He tasted it, and he said the funniest thing. He said, I love this. And you know why I love it? Because you can really taste the ham. And I said, what are you talking about? And his mom said, what are you talking about, sweetie? There's no ham. He said, yes. You said it's raw cacao, coffee, and ham. And I said, it's hemp. He had no idea what hemp was. And it just, for him, he just loved it and was trying to be flattering to us, and he was super pleasant. And I thought, I don't think, without actually telling a kid what's in it, just trying the flavor, he just felt so good about it. He thought, wow, that must be the ham. And I think that's really what we
So no ham.
Right, there was no ham
You have no ham in your eye. I just want to make sure people
right.
get it. There's no ham.
There's no ham.
No chicken.
But
no.
he didn't know what hemp was, and it sounded like I was saying that, and the funny part was that regardless, he didn't know what it was. So I think that what happens as well is if kids are used to eating Nilla wafers or Oreo cookies or Butterfingers, telling them that it's in the ice cream is almost power of suggestion. So we find that some of our best customers, we do blind taste tests. We have a lot of fun with that, where we blindfold adults who have a very sophisticated palate, and we say, what's in there? And we find people, I don't know, but it tastes so wonderful. These are tastes and flavors that many people haven't even thought about.
I saw that you had an avocado ice cream. I
Yes.
just cannot get my head around that.
Avocado is very big in and of itself as a base for ice cream, meaning if you're doing a non-dairy or a vegan type flavor. So we, however, do right now focus on dairy, good quality dairy, and adding avocado to ice cream gives it a texture, a nutty texture, and a richness that is second to none. It really is super popular, particularly in parts of the world where avocados, the cup runneth over with every kind of avocado. And we have a lot of, it's a nutty, rich, smooth flavor, and it gives what we call, in the ice cream business, a lot of overflow. It's something that you get a lot of ice cream out of because it's so thick. It's like a sweet potato. It's the same texture, but even creamier.
So what's your best, we've kind of got a fire engine or policeman or something going outside the window, but what's your number one best-selling flavor?
Yamm-orama, and that's and it's actually a misnomer because it's not actually yams that are in it. It's actually sweet potatoes. But Americans got confused many years ago and confused yams and sweet potatoes. Yams are actually not sweet. Sweet potatoes are. But we thought, isn't that funny? Because we consider yams and sweet. We use the word synonymously. It's actually a sweet potato pie that we create out of lots of caramelized sweet potatoes that we cook at a certain temperature for a certain time. So there's secrets that we deploy to create the ultimate sweetness in sweet potatoes, completely naturally, through sheer temperature and timing. And then we create sort of the ultimate sweet potato pie, adding bananas and cinnamon and this buttery.
When you say sweet potato pie, there's no carb crusty.
There's no, exactly, we're the filling. I should say that. And I always say that to people because they're like, is your ice cream gluten-free? And I always say, of course it is, because ice cream naturally is gluten-free. It is the cookies and the pretzels and stuff that people add to it that create gluten. Yes, and so it is the Yamm-orama.
So Yamm-orama is long roasted, long cooked sweet potato.
Yes.
It's cinnamon.
We've got some cinnamon, touch of cinnamon. We've got banana.
Okay.
And we use a ripe banana because we buy our produce sustainable and ripe. So there is a key time when we are looking for bananas. A lot of people say, "Wow, that banana is great, but it's not overpowering." And we are
so no drops of banana essence or
no.
E number 5 or whatever.
No, and
this is real bananas. You kind of peel these suckers. And just drop
we
them
are peeling machines at Loti Scoop. We are peeling machines. We're peeling sweet potatoes right now. Someone is peeling. You hear that? Someone out there is peeling sweet potatoes and bananas for some Yamm-orama. And we also we hand make all of our caramels. So that's
caramels.
Yeah. So swirled in the Yamm-orama is a sea salted banana caramel. So people are always like, "Oh my God, I love the caramel," and that's because we are not pre-buying our caramel. We have a particular consistency that we like our caramel.
What is it? I know what it is in terms of as an ingredient, but what is it actually made from? Caramel.
Well, caramel sugar. Okay. And so that gives our ice cream an incredibly decadent content. I mean,
so you take sugar and how do you caramelize it?
So sugar is heated.
Okay.
We're adding no corn syrup. We're adding nothing artificial. We're literally, and then we're adding certain essences to that caramel to give it an incredible
essences.
So we work with raw vanilla essence a lot. A lot of people.
So not a vanilla little thing that you buy in a supermarket?
No, we actually work with vanilla oils and things that are extracted from, there are all kinds of vanillas in the world. And vanilla is actually an orchid. A lot of people don't know that. Vanilla is the bean on an orchid. So if you have lots of orchids, then you would be now, and that's how. So it's actually we work with pressing those, and with companies that press those orchid seeds. So we're always looking for the most extremely, and I don't want to say gourmet because that's not, that doesn't even quite encompass it. The most traditional ways that fruits and vegetables are used and extracted, that is in their purest form in lots of cultures that are not highly industrialized but are using hand processes to make great food, and we're bringing that to our ice cream.
So is there some kind of big factory somewhere that's sort of taking your recipes and making them for you and then shipping you the pints, like I'm guessing how the other guys do it. Is that how you're...
There was. I mean, we started out that way because that's really the way ice cream is traditionally made, and we were quickly booted out of one of those factories when they saw the extraordinary process. They couldn't even price the process, meaning large ice cream factories have a specific, they have price levels for the way certain ice creams are prepared.
So when you say the process, the way other ice cream companies make their ice cream is kind of a mass produced
exactly.
kind of approach?
I would say in the extreme sense, some ice cream companies are not even using anything fresh, not even real bananas. They may just have some broken up cookies.
When you say not even and some, I would suggest most.
Right.
Most are not using real bananas.
Right. And banana is something that you have to prepare very specially, even in its fresh form, to incorporate into ice cream. So there you're even talking about the process of cleaning the skins before you use them. And those are just not things that a big company wants to do.
What about roasting sweet potatoes to a certain
Absolutely no. Who's going to do that? I mean, if you saw us do that, and when we opened one of our facilities, we always ask, do you have an oven in the ice cream in the kitchen? There, I was like, what would you need that for? Because traditionally, no ice cream company would have an oven. But we are actually always caramelizing and heating vegetables and fruits to bring out the sugar content and the flavor. So that's just something that
it's natural. It's a natural sugar.
Yes,
content. No, it's not sort of.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
So you said you started out with the mass-produced route, whatever it is in this country. Yes. What happened?
Well, just they weren't able to price our. Not only were they not able to develop our process, we're in the constant process of R&D. So we're always creating new flavors, figuring out new ways to make that superior ice cream. It's just not something they're interested in. You'll find that there are probably about 5 ice cream flavors on the market, and there's about 5 ways to produce them. Done. That's what they're interested in. And a co-packer would sit down with us and say, okay, so how do you do your cookies and cream? Do you break up your cookies like this, or you break them up like that? Like, we don't even do cookies and cream. So we're really completely outside of the mass industrial way that ice cream's made. Completely.
So how do you do it? Is your a kitchen at home that you're sort of...
We attract people who actually make ice cream with a culinary background.
No. Where do you make this in? Is this in your garage?
Sure. So it's illegal actually to make ice cream in your home. It is a fairly, and people do ask that because they think it's so good. This lady, they always say, when I'm doing a demo, sometimes people pick up on the fact that I may be the owner, and they say, do you make this in your kitchen? And I think, no, I do not, but that's a funny question. Because it's so good, it's like saying, this tastes homemade. And that's a compliment in many ways. No, we make it in small facilities that are regionally positioned to deliver ice cream to high-end or large-scale natural retailers who sell this kind of thing. So we are actually have specialty facilities that I call Loti, which is one or more Lotus. Loti, like Lotus. So this is one or more
Lotus Scoop?
Yes.
Oh, so the singular of the Lotus Scoop.
Yes, or the plural. Different Loti around around the region where we're able to actually create this special ice cream, and I consider them almost mini laboratories, but also they're mass production facilities. We have proprietary equipment.
Sorry, you are mass production or you're not?
We are mass production in the sense that if you were an average ice cream person who came out of the regular ice cream business and you stood there and watched us make ice cream, I believe we would blow you away. We actually have a process that is fast, that is complete. We have proprietary equipment that we put on it, and we have fairly skilled, energetic people who put together this. We are literally walking a completely different path than mass industry in ice cream, and we produce a product that reflects that.
So it's an artisanal product, but you've figured out the processes which allow you to manufacture it in large quantities.
Exactly, and we are also using an ongoing process. So by keeping our facilities small, we don't run into problems with salmonella or listeria or things that are known to be problematic in the ice cream business because we're small. and we're clean. And it's a very tight system with a very easy to clean, maintain facility. So that's one of the things that people are always stunned about is how quickly we clean up and how incredibly sterile our facility is. On top of the fact that we are actually creating a product that requires a fast pace and really energetic and enthusiastic staff.
So you have how many Loti so far?
Two.
Mm-hmm. Which allows you to serve which markets?
We're starting with what we think are the most sort of interested markets in artisanal produce, and that is all the way sort of from, I would like to say, Maine down to West Virginia. We're really in the Northeast area, and it's
you don't think Californians like artisanal ice cream?
And so we do. And so one of the reasons, so they do, and they do it very well. And they, in fact, will tell me if they are visiting one of our demos or that they invented it, and that we no need to hold our head high because they invented the space. So they're very proud of their ice cream. But there's a huge market for what we do out there. It's just a matter of our strategy is certainly to grow in a way, to grow regionally and not ship ice cream to California. We want to maintain its integrity, and we want to make sure that the ice cream has a very short duration between the time that we make it and it comes out all fluffy and sweet and delicious from our machine into the consumer's shopping cart.
Now, what I like about your model is, as you say, not a big mass-produced factory somewhere sort of pumping this stuff out in huge volumes, but small, fast-moving production facilities in strategic locations. But back to the Plant-to-Pint thing, the fact that you're sourcing real fruit, real vegetables around the area of each of these Loti, I guess that means that you can create local recipes using local sourced community-based produce. Is that part of what you guys do?
That is part of what we do. One of the things we always want to emphasize is that people return to the freezer of their favorite store or local grocery to get that same flavor over and over again. If you like our vanilla bean or our Yamm-orama, we want to make sure that you can get that all the time. So it's not always something new. People latch on to flavors they love and they think about it, they stock up on it, share with their friends. We always have a standard bunch of flavors that we're always running. And then in the background we're experimenting and we allow people to have fun with it. So yes, we have a seasonal and a local produce backstory, I would say, on our flavorings, and we have standard flavorings that are always available.
So how many kind of core bestseller?
5
flavors. So 5 core flavors.
Yes.
Which are?
Smoked chocolate, which is a mesquite and raw cacao. We have Yamm-orama, as I mentioned before, sweet potato ice cream. We have what's called peaches and herb. It's a really fun flavor that's super adult. It's peaches, Kentucky bourbon, chamomile, and fresh squeezed ginger. We have the puddle jumper, which, believe it or not, is a favorite of kids. It is a kale pear banana ice cream. And we have the Kingston, as I was also mentioning to you. It's a very intense cold brew with hemp.
So if you're lucky enough to live close to where Loti Scoop is actually producing ice cream, those are the 5 that you should be able to find in key locations.
Yeah, 3 to 5 you'll find. I mean, we always have about 3 to 5. Some of our bigger store locations have all 5 flavors. Most of them have at least 4.
And then there are a range of other flavors below that are sort of seasonal and
that we offer online. And then there are also smaller stores that want to compete with our big retailers who want to offer flavorings that they can attract customers that they can't get at their competitive larger stores. But to answer your question, yes, we are always working with local farmers, exporters, importers, not just sort of things you can get here. We work with tropical fruits as well. And seeds and infusions and herbs and flowers, always developing something fabulous for ice cream fans. And it's always very natural. But the key really is we are buying large amounts of produce, so a large amount of ripe fruit. And so it's not like going to a community garden and picking flowers and making some ice cream, on your patio. It really is large-scale sourcing of mass produce from companies that bring in huge cases, crates, and pallets. We go through them, particularly strawberry season is up now. That's a huge business for us, and we don't freeze the strawberries. So when they're gone, they're gone. But right now we jump on it and we get in touch with everyone who has strawberries in the market within a 50-mile radius, and we buy them up and make ice cream.
So who's coming up with these amazing flavors?
I am, to because that's just part of my nature. I've always been I consider sort of a creative outgrowth of, I used to design clothing. So, I mean, and food is so much fun when it's done this way. But I come up, and to be honest, I did also talk to my mother, who also was a very creative person and who is a Game of Thrones fanatic. And she came up with a Game of Thrones palette of flavors and names, Sandali and Dragon's Breath. And so we're always sort of fooling around with fun ways to enjoy.
What's in Dragon's Breath?
Okay, so it is it's cherry season, just starting. You'll start to see cherries in the market, and it's for the whole summer season of Game of Thrones, where we cut up fresh cherries, and we cover them in raw cocoa, and then we mix them and blend them into a very exquisite vanilla bean ice cream, and it's blended through. So it's sort of the snow on the mountain mixed in with the chocolate cherry, the raw chocolate cherry.
And that's a Game of Thrones inspired.
Yes, it's the Dragon's Breath.
Dragon's Breath. Where can I? I'm actually wanting to go get some.
It's coming up. It's coming up, and we make them available online. And people are starting to get into Game of Thrones parties in the spring and summer. The weather should start to break soon, and so we're hoping to get some of our fans involved. So you can get online.
Where can I?
LotusScoop.com has all of has a rotating as well as established flavor palette, where you can buy our ice cream delivered to your door. Happiness has landed in a pint at your doorstep with Uber, and they do really.
So you say Uber, that means it's only local?
Well, our Uber is local to New York right now, but our goal is certainly to bring this kind of flavor to people's doorsteps all across the country where Uber is doing this delivery. So as Uber opens up, we partner with them because ice cream.
But they're not going to drive for 6 hours from.
No. So right now, you would need to be in the New York area. That is all of Brooklyn, and that's where we're making the ice cream, all the way up to the Upper West Side, and that's right now. We get a lot of orders and requests from the Bronx, and we just feel really bad about that.
So if I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, or I wish I knew a city in Wisconsin. As an Englishman, I can probably get excused for not. How long before I can get Lotus Scoop?
Well, not too long. So one of our primary goals is to move fairly quickly to regions that have a desire and a need for fantastic ice cream. And there's always there are always people who Green Bay, by the way, Wisconsin. So it's right. Don't forget the Green Bay Packers. So essentially,
Cheeseheads.
Right, and they're actually a wonderful place to have local dairy. Wisconsin, the Midwest of the United States, has some of the best dairy in the world. So yes, one of our goals is to touch base. We first examine the demographic pretty closely and make sure that that area has great produce and has good dairy. So that's actually a point at which I would say in the next 6 to 8 months, we will definitely be looking at those areas, because Ohio.
So we're now May 2000.
I would say the fall. Say the fall.
May 2016 right now. So
yes.
By the fall. And
again, those are, even though we kind of think of those as the flyover area, to be quite honest, it is an area that is rich in dairy and produce. The Midwest, Wisconsin, Ohio, those areas have great resources for the kind of work that we do.
Okay, so let's talk pricing. If I go and get a mass-produced ice cream tub, Ben & Jerry's, Haagen-Dazs or whatever, I'm going to pay, I guess, $4.99, $5.29.
$5.95 is sort of the magic number at the top of them.
Okay. How much does yours cost?
So to be quite honest, our ice cream is $9.99, and that's almost a $10 pint. And before you run out of them screaming or yelling at me, because I have the nerve to do that, we actually are.
It includes real good stuff. So I mean, I'm not completely surprised.
Right, and most people aren't who are ice cream fans. So it depends. So we have, like I said, a massive cult following building, and that people love ice cream, and they pay for what they can't get. And there is no secret that what we're doing is very extreme, and the type of ice cream we're creating is really the finest combination of ingredients and preparation of ingredients that you can buy. And in some ways, we've thought of raising our price on some of our flavors.
Beyond $10?
We have some really fabulous super. We have a flavor called Chamango, which is a mango flavor where we mix apricot and chili and lime-infused chili pepper. And it's not as much the actual ingredients, it's the preparation and the way that we infuse the ice cream to give it this like intense flavor. And mango, that this particular dessert is a street dessert in Mexico, and we wanted to bring that, translate it into the American ice cream market, and it's really fabulous. And we're not going to unleash it until it gets really hot, but it's one of the things that we've thought about, just the hand preparation on it, getting it balanced each pint. It's costly. So no, I mean, I think our price is reflective of the quality of our product. Again, it's not a $20 pint of ice cream. And
is there a $20?
Yes, there is.
I'm sure there is.
And there are all kinds of reasons why there are. But our ice cream is mass, meaning stores buy it who are quote unquote supermarkets, big chains, and people buy it from those stores. We have a sell-through, meaning we may not be moving pints as fast as a cheap ice cream, but for what the price point is, we sell ice cream on a consistent basis to our customers.
I think what I like about this approach is that if I'm paying $4.99, $5.99 for a less expensive, more well-known ice cream, a decent chunk of that money is going on advertising, is going on press, and all the other things these guys do to keep their brands in the public face. Whereas I'm guessing a lot of your cost and a lot of your, the cost to deliver your product is actually just the ingredients and the process and and maybe love that you guys are putting into preparing the product. So it's not, I'm not paying for an advertising guy in Manhattan to kind of put this on television. I'm just paying for the ingredients I'm getting in my pint.
Yeah, I mean, we take time every pint, and I always laugh and say every pint is even wiped off, especially to go. Meaning we actually are. We at the end we sort of take the pint, wipe it off, put it in the freezer, and so we always think there is like that final sort of. Each pint is kissed goodbye. So we get very into it, and we love what we do. So. Again, it's always a temptation to try to lower your price and get a greater volume, but I think it's more important to build a cult following around excellent product at this point, and we're doing it. At this point, I mean, I think that we're starting in the market at a place where we want people to understand that this is a quality product. Our goal is to bring ice cream lovers of all shapes, sizes, and to bring them to our doorstep and have them enjoy a product that is second to none.
But you don't see yourself in 5 years' time, when you've kind of covered the country, pushing down the kind of quality and increasing.
I mean, I see us doing quite the opposite. I see us spanning that upper tier and experimenting with some of the most incredible flavors and the most intriguing combinations. And then also, I think there's a large. Ice cream's delicious and it's comforting and it's wonderful. I think there is a lot of room for a fabulous flavor grouping that could even be more pricey, that's more exotic, that's more mind-blowing, and continue to sort of build in that area. Mass ice cream is mass ice cream. There are a lot of mass ice cream companies, and they all make the same flavor, and many of them are made in the same place, so with a different label on them. So and a lot of people don't know that, but our goal is really to step outside of that and say this is a very wonderful American vehicle that it's taken, that you can't get in every country, and there's no reason to try to walk the same road as everyone else. We really want people to come to us for something extraordinary. You
were telling me offline that some of these ice cream companies, and I'm not kind of knocking the traditional way of doing business, but they make an ice cream, they put it into the system of getting it to consumers, and that process could take a year. Could take longer than a year.
The process itself is probably fairly quick. A mass ice cream company can probably make 10-20,000 pints of ice cream in several hours. That isn't the part that's time heavy. The part that's time heavy is they don't all of a sudden sell those 20-30,000 pints. They put them somewhere, and so they sit for a while. And
so they put them in a big warehouse
sure.
Refrigerator
for sure,
and then they wait.
They try to sell them off. So unlike
is that a 1 month process or?
Well, it certainly depends on the brand and what their turnover is like. But the reason we're able to add, for example, so many new flavors, and the reason that people can see, for example, our new packaging, our upgraded packaging came out, and when a week later it was on the shelf. in a Whole Foods. And I thought, that's funny. The reason that you could see the packaging come out so quickly is because that's how fast our pints move from our facility where it's fresh ice cream to the store.
So if I'm picking up a Lotus Scoop, it's maybe 7 days old?
Can be, it could be less than that. Could be rushed in. We've been known to have a great demo or a great sales day over the weekend, sell out a shelf, it'd be empty, and someone rush in there with ice cream, take it out, and people stand and wait for it at the freezer, looking for it. So
and yet a typical ice cream that people are aware of, a regular brand.
I mean, I don't want to knock any brands, but I have seen Halloween pumpkin ice cream that's sat with certain companies over the course of a season. So that would just tell you that to think of how far in advance you would need to make pumpkin ice cream in large quantities, and it's already mid-May. so that's been there for some time. So I'm saying that.
Okay, October is when they would have put it on the shelf.
And
it's still there in May.
But
they needed to have made it before October so that it could be there before October.
I've seen stores trot out pumpkin ice cream from the prior season. So again, it's frozen. So if ice cream has a little bit of wiggle room in terms of expiration date, and you'd be shocked at how long ice cream would stay quote unquote fresh. But does the flavor grouping maintain its integrity? No.
And is that why I get ice cream in my freezer that's a little bit kind of crystalline?
Some of that's from you just continuously opening your freezer, Andrew, and standing in front of it. So, because the ice cream, that the temperature will stand in front and debating whether you should go into and eat the ice cream pint. So when you do that, you should have the door closed.
There's never a debate when it's Lotus Scoop. It's only when it's the other flavor.
Right, and so, but I'm saying that the dip in temperature, ice cream theoretically has to be kept at like negative 18 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that. And that's very cold. And so very few freezers or warehouses or trucks, or even the time that it takes to get from the truck to the freezer is going to maintain that temperature integrity. So the shortest period of time ice cream spends slightly warm, the better. And then certainly mass ice cream companies are using using ingredients that are not impacted by temperature spikes, and that's why you have cookies.
So I just have two quick questions. Actually, one slow question and one quick question. The slow question is, if somebody wanted to start a business like this, how did you get started? Was this sort of you experimented with different recipes in your kitchen, you found a few that you thought were good, and then you tried to get them manufactured? Did you run up your credit cards? I'm just wondering.
We did the whole thing. I would say I am an entrepreneur. I've had other businesses. I am a tailor, oddly enough. By nature, I actually can make things, and design. And I had a business where that talent and skill grew into a large company, a manufacturing company, with lots of people. And so this particular business, again, comes out of my ability to make something. I think that Americans, for whatever reason, are encouraged to be craftsmen or make things that always are not. Okay. And it's always a hobby or an arts and crafts project to the side, or even something someone does in an artisan way in Williamsburg, which is where I live. But it's not encouraged to sort of say at the root of some big business is an initial craftsman. I think that's an older paradigm, and I think it's a valuable one that's been kind of over time been dissolved. And I think that, so yes, I made this ice cream first, and I remember sitting there thinking, I'd love to start a new business. I'd love to do something, with my time now. And I remember my boyfriend at the time said, what you could do right now, though, while you're worrying about it, you can make me some ice cream. And I thought,
that's what he said.
Yes, and I said, you know what, that's it. And I made some ice cream, and he's like, you've gone too far now, and I just made
ice cream. When you say some, you meant one pint? You made like 100 pints in a day.
A Bed Bath & Beyond gift certificate and I took it to Bed Bath & Beyond. It was for $50. Okay. And I took that $50 gift certificate and I bought a $25 on sale ice cream plastic bucket maker. And I made ice cream on my roof in the building, and then I gave it to people at a party.
Uh-huh. And they killed them all.
No, they were so stunned by how delicious it was, and that's because I used my mother's recipe. We used to make ice cream every holiday, July 4th, for our family and friends, my father and I. And everyone would say, this is the best ice cream I've ever tasted. And I would think they're just lying because they like her. And sure enough, though, that very recipe I got the same effect.
What was that recipe?
For a couple of them, there was cherry vanilla.
Okay.
And the Dragon's Breath was part of her. It's got a little cherry vanilla of her initial, the origin of her ice cream. And we used to make a chocolate chip and a regular vanilla, and it was extraordinary.
Standard flavors, pretty much.
Standard flavors.
Nothing too innovative at this point.
Standard flavors that we would cook it. We would cook certain things and do various things to it to make it sort of custardy and wonderful. And I remember her actually sending me a JPEG picture of her handwritten recipe. Because I said, I want to make ice cream for some friends, and she was so flattered because, there are things your parents do and they think you're ignoring them. Like, you're like, whatever those people, but really you're enjoying it. And so she was like, you remember that? And so she took a JPEG, and that's where I started. And from that, I literally got into really involved in the design of the ice cream, and it had many incarnations before I thought.
Design of the recipes or design of the packaging? The packaging.
Mm-hmm. And people, yeah.
So hold it. You take a family recipe. Mm-hmm. You take a bucket from Bed Bath and Beyond.
Right.
You make some ice cream based on a recipe your mother used to do as when you were kids for the family around Thanksgiving.
It was July 4th. We would have a party.
Okay, July 4th, which in this country is Independence Day.
Oh, it's right. Yes, it's very hot out, and people sit around in the backyard. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's when you guys got your independence from England.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Let's not touch the subject. Let's move on from that. So then, suddenly you're in packaging.
Well, I always liked to design things, and I thought whenever I would go to the freezer aisle and sort of start to research this, I found that packaging was very bland, and they all use the same shape, and they all use the same sort of all over the package, and it was just some craziness. And there was something very mundane and almost sadly provincial about ice cream, and it always came from a very sort of childish place. But not everything has to be childish. There was no sleek design. There was nothing that. If it was sleek, it was scary. Like you're like, that's empty. That's scaring me. So we would. It was always so extreme, and ice cream just looked the same. And I think it's because of where the actual industries come from. And so it's very prepackaged top to bottom. The ice cream's prepackaged. The actual shape of the packaging is. And so I thought, how can we innovate? And there are some innovators in this space. I tried to follow their lead and create something that would look elegant, and you could see the beauty of the natural ingredients, and we worked on that. And I enjoyed that part of it. It wasn't something I would farm out to someone else.
You say we worked on that.
So me and you, Andrew. No, but also it's something I gradually did, and I have friends who do a lot of development on graphics. I'm not great with like the graphics packages, the software, but I can manipulate it.
So when did you go from recipe, make it myself in my kitchen, messing around with different designs? Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to go talk to a local store, and
it happened all together. I actually was confident enough from people trying the ice cream, and then I think New York is full of stores that take a chance on product.
So you walked into your local bodega and said, hey, I've made this ice cream, you want to check it out?
Well, no. What I was able to do was find a company, a small co-packer in the area who would make my ice cream in small quantities. And that was really a gift to my business. Most co-packers won't, that's the barrier to entry, right? And most co-packers need you to make thousands and thousands of units for them even to consider making your ice cream. This particular co-packer, like the artisanal, came from that space. And although their idea of artisanal is far less intense than ours, they did take a chance on my product, and ice cream needs to be made in a regulated factory. And so that was in small quantities. That's what we were able to do, and they were able to make small quantities, and I was able to sell them.
Sell them by?
Literally walking in and being, hey dude, the buyer is usually fairly accessible. There in a good store, the buyer's right there on the floor seeing what sells, and telling them to try some ice cream. And then them saying, okay, we'll try a case of this, or 2 cases, and going in.
And you were at $10 then?
No, we were less expensive because we were working with a co-packer, and we hadn't gone crazy yet with the process and where the identity and the extraordinary ingredients and preparation of Loti Scoop. So we were at about $6.99, which is really high-end mass pricing. And that's where we started. And then we started noticing that some of our flavors took a lot more time to prepare, and we needed to raise the price, and then as our process became more intense, I started to internalize that as a company.
Got it. So when you started to go in away from the more traditional flavors, better materials, locally sourced and that sort of thing, and also the actual time
and producing the product ourselves, feeling confident and that I had a process and that our company had a way of making ice cream that was superior and unusual and awesome, I felt confident. And then we didn't stop selling. I mean, whenever you raise your price out of nowhere, you very much risk losing customers. And we raised it very high, and we didn't lose customers. People became curious, and we have a product that attracts people who love ice cream, and then we work from there.
So as I've said, this is the best ice cream I've ever had.
Awesome.
I typically am a kind of a chocolate ice cream. Before I met Lotus Scoop, fish food with Ben & Jerry's was my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Chocolate ice cream, caramel, little chocolate fishes.
Right, and right.
And now somehow I tried most recently the rhubarb and strawberry, which is so far from anything favourite I've ever tried, and yet I got the strawberry flavour instantly, and then almost a second afterwards was the rhubarb flavour, and it was so intense.
Right, and so that's what we're working with in both of those, and I tell people, believe it or not, are fruits. Rhubarb's a vegetable. So did that hurt? No. Are you dead? No. I feel great. We let people know, listen, you know what, that's not cookies. There were no lady fingers or vanilla, whatever. There was no caramel core in there. It's just literally fruits and vegetables. God forbid, rhubarb is a vegetable, and a bitter one, and a bitter vegetable.
It tastes so good.
Yes, so we're preparing it in a certain way, and it really is based on traditional Southern strawberry rhubarb pie. And that is something that people eat regionally. And in fact, one of the guys here was eating it, and every time I see him now, he's like that, come on, you got the, and I'm like, dude, I don't have it right now. But he even said, this reminds me, he said, I'm from the South. And this reminds me of the strawberry rhubarb pie my mother and grandmother used to make.
So you've got to do a key lime then. You've got to do a key lime at some point if you don't already.
Yes, but
before you tell me that you do one already, I'm actually going to lock this one up. I think you've already given me 50 minutes of your time. Yes. I appreciate that. One quick thing, and this was the quick question I mentioned in the beginning, where can people find you as Adriane, the kind of what the press is starting to call the ice cream queen? Where can they find Lotus Scoop? Social media, websites, all that.
So your best bet, if you're really just dying for some Lotus Scoop and you live in the Brooklyn area and in the sort of lower to mid Manhattan area, you can actually order us online at lotusscoop.com, and we will deliver a minimum $20. So that's about 2 pints or 3 pints of ice cream to your door.
Where else can we get?
You can also get us at lots of Whole Foods. We're probably in every Whole Foods from here to throughout New Jersey, and then up through Westchester, New York. So there are probably 25 Whole Foods you could get some Lotus Scoop, and there are neighborhood stores in the Brooklyn and Manhattan area as well.
And your goal by the fall is to dramatically expand that geography, because it's unfair that a lot of people are listening to this and they won't be able to.
Oh, we get a lot of emails from people who feel that it's unfair as well and say it's pricey. There are people who say it's pricey, and that's why I want to try it. I want to know. Yes, our goal is to expand into regions that have rich produce and great dairy, where we can leverage that and make use of it. So that would be the Midwest and areas of the Southeast. So yes, we are looking to expand into those areas, and to plan to.
And you're not going to make a run at California anytime soon. They've got their own good ice cream.
I would say that the only reason we wouldn't do that is because we try to expand regionally in a gradual way that allows our factories to connect in some ways and to have some fluidity and move in a more graceful.
Your Loti?
Our small factories have a fluidness, a connectedness, and so we're trying to build up certain areas densely at first. That would be the whole eastern seaboard, and then move west. Not to say they wouldn't love our ice cream out west. I think we would do wonderfully out there, but to say that
that's probably 12 to 18 months away.
Yes.
Okay. So 2 things. If people want to find you outside of your website, which is lotusscoop.com, What about Instagram and Facebook and all those?
We're on Facebook. They can check us out there. Like I said, we're in lots of stores. You would be. We always run into people who are already eating Lotus Scoop, which I find they always think, "You're Lotus Scoop? That's so weird. I eat that all the time." So it is really available in the freezers. Lots of people eat it. Union Square, Whole Foods, and we have an Instagram account. We're big on Facebook.
What's your Instagram and Facebook?
Lotus Scoop.
Lotus Scoop.
Yes.
Nice and easy.
Yes, nice and easy.
And if people have a Lotus Scoop at home, or they find some in their store, I recommend you guys take a cool photograph of it and put it on Instagram and get your friends envious of the fact that they can't get it yet.
Yes, exactly.
All right, Adriane, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Andrew. This was great.
Cool, thank you.